Every single day, usually in the morning between 5 and 11 a.m., we release our daily scoreboard show with scores and highlights and details and sound bites from the Pacers, Colts, Fever, IndyCar, IU, Purdue, Ball State, Butler, and of course the best high school sports coverage in all of Central Indiana. You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Reports podcast number 287.4, a special Pacers report with Mike Rich, previewing the Pacers and Thunder. Game one, of course, is Thursday. Mike and I have been Pacers fans. We started going to games together in the early 90s, probably 1991. So this run has meant a lot to us. I mean, it's a friendship built on basketball.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Welcome, Pacers fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report's Pacer Report with Mike Rich. Mike is on active duty right now, so we will not be hearing a lot from him. Unfortunately, during the NBA Finals, we'll hear from him a little bit, of course, here and there, but he will be unavailable for a lot of it. So here he is to talk about the NBA Finals. And Mike, for people like us who were fans before there was a bandwagon, I think 1994 is when the bandwagon formed. This is awfully special.
I agree. This is one of the highlights of my life and interest in sports. And, of course, children, wife, family, all that is going to definitely rank above all. But in regards to sports, I mean, the Pacers winning would top the Colts winning in 2006.
Absolutely. Would for me.
I mean, it would just be, it'd be, I don't know I'd be speechless like I am right now if they
That's
won
right.
won the NBA championship. Just to think, and the roads that they have to take to win that championship, they didn't have an easy path. I agree. Oklahoma City didn't have an easy path either. But again, the Pacers are big underdogs in this series, and they've been underdogs pretty much all year. And the start they had gave everybody a reason to think this team may not be that good. But I think you knew, I knew, I think the true Pacer fan knew that things were going to turn around. And they were going to go on runs of where they could win multiple games in a row, and
Mike, that's all true, but I did not see this coming. I I was thinking about this. I have believed going into a season that the Pacers could win a championship 7 or 8 times in my lifetime. And this was one of the years going into the season where I thought but they never did anything during the season that made me believe that they were going to do this. And I am completely taken off and shocked. And if they win the championship this year, a year where I really didn't see it coming, that would be amazing.
it would be amazing. I think a couple of years ago we talked about the Pacers and how young and how excited we were with the team that they were building.
How good
And
Pritchard is at building a roster, yeah,
yeah, he's done a fantastic job building this team, and a lot of credit needs to go to him for
no doubt.
keeping it together. And I think that the second year of this core team being together has just paid dividends down the road. I mean, that experience that they got last year made them a stronger team and made them resilient. You know,
Mike,
I
I really thought that when we were outside of a sports bar a couple of years ago, I told you I thought the Pacers were going to win the 2025 NBA championship. But that was because they had such good salary cap, good
hmm
draft capital, lots of trade options, and I thought that they would get one of the best players in the NBA, and that was the reason that one of the best players in the NBA who wanted to come play with Tyrese Halliburton. I knew
Right.
Halliburton was the impetus, of course, of me saying this, but I thought a superstar would want to come and play for the Pacers, and that's why they would be making a championship run in 2025. I'd never imagined that a team with Tyrese Halliburton as its best player and Pascal Siakam as its second best player and Andrew Nembhard as it doesn't make a lot
Yeah.
of sense. It really
It,
is truly a team.
it is, and from top to bottom,
Yep.
and and it's
11 deep.
led by a team oriented coach. I mean, I think Rick Carlisle plays a lot in this as well with the
Yeah.
lineups and the adjustments and the experience of being a champion, and health. I mean, we have been really blessed this year for the most part with good health. Um,
Last 2 years, except for Matherin.
yeah, yeah. Well, we had I mean, Halliburton was down quite a bit last year.
Yeah. But in the
Um,
playoffs the last 2 years, they've
yeah,
been healthy when others haven't.
right. He has, and I think that's what got us to the Eastern Conference Finals as well as last year.
Yeah. This year
Right.
they did it all on their own. There was no fluke this year.
No, there was no fluke, and I think they really take that underdog mentality, and it motivates them. They want to prove the world wrong. I think when New York made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I mean, New Yorkers were, ready to buy finals tickets, and it was
They
like,
sure were. We
it
heard
was
from them.
so, yeah, we did. It was so nice to see them eat crow.
Oh man, no better fans in the league to make eat crow than that. Maybe
oh
maybe
yeah,
Detroit, maybe Miami, but New
yeah,
York is right up there.
yeah. But OKC, it's a different beast. I mean, this team's well built. And they're deep, they're good, they play good defense. They're gonna push us on their offense.
Mike, they seem very similar to another team. And that's your
Yeah,
Indiana Pacers, the two teams that
it,
are built almost exactly the same.
yeah, the same philosophy
Yeah.
behind building the team
And
is
position by
gone.
position, Mike, you look at it,
Hmm.
and they have very similar strengths, very similar weaknesses. Their big men don't rebound well, but they do shoot well.
Yep.
Chet Holmgren is big, but he's more of a perimeter guy, similar to Turner. Um, Siakam very good in the post like Williams. And then of course the 2 point guards. And I
Yeah.
believe that the championship is going to come down to which point guard is better.
And this is a fantastic for opportunity for Tyrese Halliburton to go down as a legend. If he can overcome the odds and bring Indiana a NBA championship, I mean, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he will be a god, and he will be up there in the stratosphere of Reggie Miller, Peyton Manning, maybe above them down the road.
Well, down the road,
Um,
yes, he would probably
of,
not
of
leapfrog
of
Peyton Manning, but yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a huge Peyton Manning fan.
Yeah, yep. But you're
And
you're right. Down the road, there's no
it,
doubt he could be one of those three, joining those other two who are without doubt the
yeah,
uh, the kings of Indiana professional sports.
and I think these two teams have changed the way owners and management and GMs
No
are
doubt,
going to build their teams. I think
no
this
doubt.
is a big shift in the NBA that trying to get three max players or whatever, and then just put whatever you can underneath that,
Those days are
and
over. The
those
league,
days are over.
the
And
league is too deep for that, and those are the two general managers who saw it coming, and they
yep,
put together these rosters. You look and see how Sam Presti built that roster, and it was obvious what he was doing, trading his best players for draft picks and a ton of them. And he built through the draft, and of course, he traded Paul George, and The prize was Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and that was a steal of a trade. And that's exactly how Kevin Pritchard has gotten the Pacers to where they are by swindling teams in trades and with Paul
Yeah.
George.
Yes, yes. So Paul George is the common denominator here.
And say what you want, and Paul George, it's funny for him, but it does tell you how good of a player he is that he could revive by trading him could revive two franchises.
It's pretty amazing that the value that he provided. And when Paul George was here, I absolutely loved Paul George as an Indiana Pacer and hated to see him
Me too.
go. I thought, that was kind of the next step in Pacer legacy, and that, he was going to bring other players in and, elevate the Indiana Pacers, and, but
Mike, I wrote
you
a
know,
column at the time, the day after the Paul George trade for the News and Tribune, saying that Kevin Pritchard should be fired because that was general manager malpractice that trade, and man, was I wrong.
You're eating crow, just
Oh
like those New
man,
York fans.
oh man.
Yeah,
And then what he
yeah,
turned Sabonis and Oladipo around, and what he turned those guys into, man, was those good. And then to
yeah,
get Neesmith, and
from Boston.
as they throw in
Yes.
the Malcolm Brogdon trade, and his drafting has been not very good, to be fair,
No.
but to get Andrew Nimhart in the second round, man,
Jarris Walker.
is he if he's
Uh,
not executive of the year, it'll probably be Presti, but Pritchard's got to be right there. Yeah, Jarris Walker still has hope. Matherin, we still have hope for. But as far
Furphy,
as players he's
Big
drafted,
Furphy.
that's right, we have hope for Furphy. But as far as players he's drafted, it has not gone well.
No,
Not at
no.
all.
But if he
Um,
if he if he can continue to do what he's doing with the trades, I
yep.
mean,
I don't
I'm
know
all right with
why would anyone trade with him, Mike? He has never lost one. He wins every single trade.
that. Yeah, yeah, and like I
Same with
said,
Presti.
OKC. Yeah, Presti's done the same thing with OKC, and yeah, who's going to trade with him? But you
Yep,
you look at the star power, these big name stars that have been through OKC, and you would have thought, gosh, they should have been in
that's right.
multiple finals. And then you look at the team they have, and you don't have a Harden, a Paul George,
Nope.
any of these big players that they traded away. And
And as good
it's
as, by the way, they had four Hall of Famers on their team in the last 20 years. Oklahoma City has. And as good as Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is, he is not a superstar. And the way I gauge a superstar is if my wife and mom know who they are, then they're a superstar because they only pay attention to the big, you know,
mhm.
and they don't know who he is. But I guarantee that they know who Paul George, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant are, and
Yep.
he just somehow made it work. And both of these general managers have been amazing, and one of them is definitely going to deserve an NBA championship,
And they both deserve where they're at in the
no doubt.
finals. And I don't know, what the ratings are going to be of this finals, but it is going to
Do you
be.
care?
I don't. As an Indiana fan, I don't care
We'll be
if it's.
watching.
I don't care if it's 6 million viewers of the NBA Finals, and
They're all in
Indiana's got
Indiana,
Indiana and Oklahoma City. Good for
right?
those two cities. It's going to be some of the best basketball and a finals that I think we've ever seen.
I think you're right.
Um,
The
there's
matchups
going
sure dictate that it will be.
it's going to be fast. It's going to be high scoring. There's going to be moments of where the defenses are going to have to pick it up and make big stops, and
Turn
you're
defense into offense. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of
yeah,
fun.
you're
Both
gonna
teams are good
see
defensive teams as well.
yeah, and you're gonna see somebody deep on the bench come up as a star in these games. And
Thomas Bryant,
um, Thomas Bryant,
he's our
I
guy.
think he would be the guy I'd love to see make a big impact in this series.
All right,
Um,
Mike, what's going to happen? What's your prediction?
I'm going to stick with the Pacers. I'm going to stick with the momentum. I'm going to stick with what I've said for the last couple of years that I just really love this team, and I'm 100% a homer with the Pacers.
Me
I
too.
and I will not, uh, you know, bet against them. I think they're going to win the series. I think the chemistry is right with this team. I think they, like I've said before, they genuinely like each other and care about each other and want to have each other's back, and they don't care who is going to be the MVP, who is going to be the highest scorer in the game. Whoever's hot, they're going to make the game. They'll build that game around them, and I got a feeling that they're going to win in Game 6, and I think they're going to win 4-2 in Game 6.
There you have it. I believe the Thunder are going to win this series. I think it's going to go 7 games, and it's going to be a great series. I think the Thunder are just a little bit better, but I can see why people are picking the Pacers. And I cannot wait for Thursday, and I cannot wait for a Pacers NBA championship. Thank you so much, Mike, for taking some time while on his Army duty. And thank you so much for listening. Please share this podcast with your friends and family. It's the only way we're going to grow. And we need to grow to continue to produce quality podcasts for you. It's up to our current listeners to help us get new listeners. We thank you in advance, humbly and honestly, for spreading the word. Appreciate it. Go Pacers. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.